start off this with a quote. Medicine is a science of uncertainty and art of probability. I'd like to bid a very good morning to all the panelists here and audience who are present today. Nowadays, many diseases are on the verge of outbreak and health degradation of many people occur. This causes very hectic in people's lives. So, what is the cure for this? Is there any solution? Or can we use medical marijuana to cure all the disease? The discussion on this topic has started and initiated after a public uproar over the conviction and death penalty of Muhammad Luqman. Now, who is Muhammad Luqman? Muhammad Luqman is a father of one, was arrested by policemen in Malaysia on December 2015 due to possessing, processing and distributing medicinal cannabis oil. He was prosecuted 3 years back on December 2015 and later on executed this year on August 30th in Shah Alam High Court. And the act of law was Dangerous Drug 1952. So let's not delay any further, and we are going to have a small discussion, small informative interaction session with our panelists today regarding should medical marijuana be legalized and allowed in terms of medicinal usage in Malaysia. So let's welcome our lovely panelists today. Firstly, we have Dr. Janice. Next, our pharmacist Ching Pei. Next, our Health Ministry representative Yang Muhammad Yincing. And our lawyer Li Mei. Last but not least, our patient Zifeng. So now let's hear our doctor's opinion on the medical related marijuana.
Thank you, Gitana. Very good morning to everyone. Okay, so as a doctor, I will explain the benefits of marijuana to us humans. First of all, by consuming marijuana, we can be able to slow down the effects of cancer. This is a very helpful way because it will give more time to the doctors to carry out treatments to patients to cure the disease. In addition, marijuana is also able to keep a person away from serious diseases such as Alzheimer's. This is really helpful as it will ensure a good quality of life even at an old age. And marijuana also gives chemotherapy support. Chemotherapy is a type of therapy used to treat cancer, and where they will use one or two anti-cancer drugs. And in this case, marijuana is used as the anti-cancer drug. However, we doctors do not encourage the use of marijuana to our patients due to its wide range of side effects. And the side effects of marijuana can be divided into two, which are short-term effects and long-term effects. So long-term effects are decline of IQ, lower life satisfaction, addiction to marijuana, and impaired thinking. And if it is too serious, it can even lead to death. And the short-term effects are such as dry mouth, fatigue, short-term memory problem, hallucination, increase of risk for stroke, and also paranoia, which is the fear of being watched of. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Janice, for that useful information. We'll definitely keep that in mind. Next, our pharmacist would like to say something regarding the implementation of medicinal marijuana.
Thank you once again, and good afternoon, everyone. So, as a pharmacist, I would like to talk on what does medical marijuana really help. So, marijuana cannot consider as a cure for anything, but is a good treatment for symptoms associated with certain conditions. Few medical journals have documented the significant health benefits associated with the use of medical cannabis. Medical marijuana help to treat anxiety, mood disorders, and also help to relieve pain. It also helps to lose weight by regulating our body's insulin production, which in turn will help to manage your calorie intake. So far, there is no evidence to prove that whether medical marijuana is safe or not, and there is also no risk of death by overdose from cannabis. Marijuana is safer than some other medications prescribed to treat the same symptoms. For example, opioids for pain management is highly addictive and they are not recommended for long-term use in treating chronic pain. However, marijuana still brings risks. Frequent marijuana use can seriously affect your short-term memory and is also a factor in the development of a serious number of mental health disorders. For formulation and dosing, marijuana can be inhaled through smoking or vaporizing. It can also be eaten in the form of cookies, brownies, or even candy. When inhaled, marijuana will take effect in few minutes and will last for 2 to 3 hours. Thus, patients should wait between inhalations for a few minutes to gauge the strength of its effect. If eaten, marijuana may take 2 to 3 hours to show its effect and may endure for 5 to 8 hours. However, this varies greatly by patients, but for general guidelines, patients should start with a very low dose and stop therapy if there is any undesirable effects occurs, especially for the new patient.
Well, that's a good insight from our pharmacist over here. Very bright. Next, we'd like to move on to our Health Ministry representative, Yang Muhammad. Would you like to comment on the ban and impact of banning the medical marijuana?
Okay. Now I would like to present about why marijuana is banned and the impact of marijuana if it becomes legal in the community. So first of all, marijuana is banned in the most countries and also in our nation, Malaysia. Then why it is like that? Because marijuana persists as an additive, even though it isn't a highly addictive drug. Under the Controlled Substance Act of 1970, marijuana is classified as a Schedule 1 drug on the basis that it has high potential for the abuse. Therefore, marijuana can only be dispensed by the qualified and licensed physician, such as the pharmacy with a prescription. In addition, the Drug Policy Alliance explained fewer than 10% of these who try the marijuana ever end up meeting the clinical criteria for the dependence, whereas 32% of the tobacco users and also the 15% of the alcohol users. While some substances are more addictive, less than 10% is still reflect a large number of the people. Besides, marijuana has no acceptable medical use. Marijuana seems to yield considerable medical benefits for many Americans with ailments ranging from glaucoma to the cancer, but this benefit has not been accepted on the national level. So medical use of marijuana remains a serious national controversy. In order to fight the argument that marijuana has no medical use, legalization advocates are working in some countries like Canada to highlight the effect it has on the life of people who have used the drug for the medical reason. One is the legalization of the marijuana is closely related to its history, which link with the narcotics, such as the heroin. Early anti-drug laws were written to regulate the narcotics, opium, and its derivatives, such as the heroin and morphine. Marijuana, though not a narcotic, was described as such along with cocaine. The association started and there is now a vast gap in the American consumers between the normal recreational drugs, such as the alcohol, caffeine, and nicotine, and also the abnormal drugs, such as the heroin, cocaine. Marijuana is generally associated with the latter category, which is why it can be conveniently portrayed as a gateway drug. Those reasons will cause the marijuana to be prohibited since past time. Now they assume that if the marijuana becomes legal in the community, where it can be easily purchased from any pharmacy store, what would happen? The legalization of marijuana use will restrict the access to minors similar to age restriction of alcohol. Putting an age limit to the legalization, however, is not enough to prevent the consequences that could occur from the use of the marijuana. Age restriction in the alcohol does not prevent all teenagers from drinking, so restriction on the marijuana will likely have the same effect. Teenagers are more susceptible to the negative effect of marijuana because part of their brain, such as the prefrontal cortex, are still developing. People who start using the marijuana, especially the teenagers, are potentially at risk of losing the IQ point because of an interference in normal brain development that occur in the teenager years. Moreover, the marijuana use will likely increase if marijuana is widely available and marketed in different forms. The switch from the illegal source to a market-based system could open the floodgate to the new users. It is very likely that the commercial price, even with tax they are imposing, will end up being substantially lower than the price in the illegal market, because production costs will be very much down and distribution costs will be dramatically lower. It may also facilitate the introduction of new formulations of marijuana, like turned into an edible product that contain a THC or in vaporized form, which will potentially higher potencies. All in all, legalization of the marijuana in community have more cons than the pros that generate a great influence among the society. So all of us should be really careful in consuming any medicine or drugs. Life is precious. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Muhammad, for that honest explanation regarding medical marijuana and the ban and impact of doing so. Next, I would like to direct this introduction session towards our elegant lawyer over there. I'd like to ask certain questions to you, ma'am. Are there any issues faced by us Malaysians regarding medical marijuana? And are there any act of laws regarding medical marijuana?
According to Malaysian Law Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, any person who is found of possession of 200 grams or more in weight of cannabis, 200 grams or more in weight of cannabis racing, a total of 200 grams or more in weight of cannabis and cannabis racing, otherwise than in accordance with the authorities with this act or any other written law, shall be presumed until the contrary is proved to be drugs trafficking. Under Section 39B, in possession of 200 grams or more cannabis, the punishment would be mandatory death. Under Section 39A, subsection 2, in possession of 50 to 200 grams of cannabis, the punishment are imprisonment for life or imprisonment not less than 5 years and with the whipping not less than 10 strokes. There is another case related to the usage of marijuana in medication. Captain Amiruddin, also known as Dr. Ganja, who is facing 36 criminal charges related to the use, growth, and possession of marijuana. Early last year, he was slapped with drug-related offences, which carries the mandatory death sentence upon conviction. He was charged in 3 separate courts. First court convicted him with 14 counts of possessing cannabis weighing about 97.995 kg at a house in Kampong Dalet Dalam. At the second court, he pleaded not guilty to 18 counts of planting 18 plants suspected to be cannabis. At the third, he claimed trial to 2 counts of possessing cannabis weighing 55 grams, 1 count of inserting cannabis into his body, and 1 count of possessing tools to smoke cannabis. The difference between Amiruddin and Muhammad Luqman is that he provided edibles laced with cannabis oil instead of raw weed itself. He had been selling the food that were laced with marijuana, such as chocolate, brownies, cakes, chocolates, and milk.
I must say law plays a pivotal role in the consideration of legalization of medical marijuana. And the issues faced by Malaysians in Malaysia is definitely a serious matter to look upon. Thank you, lawyer, for that. So why some of us are still emphasizing on the usage of medical marijuana? Are there any benefits of consuming medical marijuana? For that, I'd like to pinpoint one important chemical that's present in medical marijuana, which is cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are the compounds that are present in our body, which keeps our body in balance. Our body creates them naturally, but cannabis plant produces a very close imitation of it. Cannabinoids facilitate the communication of the cells within our body and helps our body to become more balanced in terms of internal environment. So when we consume cannabis, our endocannabinoid system becomes more systematic and works more efficiently. In this way, our body moves in proper order and we won't have any trouble in moving forward. Cannabinoids work in concert with terpenes and other compounds to produce specific effects in our body. The combination of cannabinoids and terpenes makes you more alert, focused, relaxed, elated, and even sleepy. While the cannabinoids produces more than 100 types of cannabis plant, but there are only certain types of cannabinoids we focus on, and they are THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, CBD, cannabidiol, and cannabinol. Lastly, let's hear a testimony from our patient right over there who wants to elaborate more on the side effects of medical marijuana and what it can do to our body.
Hello, I was a patient with major burn and I experienced the marijuana treatment before to relieve my pain. And then I'm here to share my experience throughout the marijuana treatment, and I want to legalize the medical use in Malaysia. Actually, before the marijuana treatment, we will be notified about the side effects of the treatment, and then we have only to be treated after we agree to it. And I have experienced some side effects as mentioned from the Dr. Janice, like dizziness and drowsiness. The dizziness will getting more serious after I take other drugs like antihistamines, and I experience distorted perceptions of time and space and impaired judgment of coordination and concentration. And this caused me unable to operate machinery. Besides, I became more sensitive and had a more vivid sense of taste, sight, smell, and hearing. I was very emotional during the treatment, and I will suddenly become so happy, and suddenly I will become so sad. Physically, my heart and pulse rate will increase, and I will have the bloodshot eyes and dilated pupils. My appetite was increased too. And what worried me the most is the risk of getting addicted to the marijuana. However, no matter how many side effects it brings to us, we prefer to take marijuana rather than other pain relievers like paracetamol and aspirin, just because marijuana can really relieve my pain better, and then I can finally fall asleep the whole night. I believe that under the proper suggestion and prescription by physician, the marijuana treatment will be under well control. And actually, the medical marijuana brings a lot of ease and benefits to patients, just like what Dr. Janice mentioned just now. The marijuana treatment can even slowing the cancer progress, giving a better opportunities and timing for the doctor to treat the cancer patients. I think this is a life-saving drugs, and so why don't the government try to legalize the use of medical marijuana in Malaysia? There are a lot of countries have legalized the use of marijuana, including Canada, Colombia, and Peru. And the latest one is United Kingdom, who has
legalize the use of medical marijuana in 1st of November. And in Asia, the Sri Lanka has taken the pioneer step to legalize the use of medical marijuana. So I think Malaysia should consider to legalize the use of medical marijuana by referring to this country's rules and regulation. Most of this country will issue a medical marijuana card for the patient. This is the identification card that enables patient to possess, obtain, and cultivate marijuana for medical use with a registered doctor's recommendation. And for example, now in California state of United States, online application of the medical marijuana card is available. The process is quite simple, easy, and straightforward. The patient just need to submit their ID information and medical recommendation from the doctor, and they were required to pay the initial registration fee. And after a couple of days, they will get their actual medical marijuana card. The card is valid up to 12 months and should be renewed annually. The renewal need another evaluation by the doctor and a new renewal fee. I know it sounds too simple to get something dangerous. We understand that we should apply a more strict rules on controlling these dangerous drugs, and we don't mind it. We just want our right to obtain the medical marijuana use in Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tang, for that informative insight, and I'm sure we were all introduced to a whole new perspective of the side effects of medical marijuana through the live testimony of our patient here. Now I'd like to add another benefit of using medical marijuana, which is relieving our muscle spasm. Coping with stiff, aching, and cramping muscles is a way of life for over 2.5 million people in the world. And another 15 million people suffer from spinal cord injuries, complain that they were having the same symptoms too, which ultimately cause them pain, limited movement, and lack of sleep. Given this outlook, it is not hard to understand why some patients with multiple sclerosis and spinal cord injuries sought relief through medical marijuana. Several such patients told their doctors that their muscle spasm decreased after smoking marijuana, and some even said that it relieved their nausea and provide them a better sleep after that. So to conclude that, the lack of universally good effective drug is a compelling reason why cannabinoid is continuously being explored in the clinics nearby today. So, okay, now we have reached the end of our introduction session. So I'd like to highlight some conclusions of our panelists today. So Dr. Janice, you can start first.
In my opinion, I feel that marijuana should be banned because of its wide range of side effects, and most importantly, marijuana leads to addiction, where a patient can finally die just because of consuming it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Janice. How about you, Mr. Lee?
So as a pharmacy, in my opinion, I also think that medical marijuana should be banned because there is no proper evidence to show that whether medical marijuana is safe or not.
Thank you. Our lawyer, Lee?
Under the eyes of the law, marijuana and other drugs such as heroin and heroin are the same category, so it has to be banned.
Okay, next on the patient.
In my opinion, I think the patient should have their right to receive legal medical marijuana treatment. So I wish that government can consider to legalize the use of medical marijuana in Malaysia. Okay.
From my perspective, I think marijuana should be banned in the community, as the main usage of the marijuana is for the cancer treatment. And probably it's impossible to conduct the cancer treatment by themselves with the purchasing of the marijuana. Therefore, if the marijuana is present in the community, it will only perform its the function as a pain reliever. However, other than the marijuana, we can utilize the paracetamol and aspirin, which are the well-known pain reliever that will less effect for our physical and mental health, instead of taking the marijuana that has adverse and unknown side effects in short-term and long-term usage, just like what our doctor said just now. So, since this issue has ignited a serious national controversy, we will decide to further discuss it during the parliament and end up with a final decision. So everyone, please be patient and stay tuned for the latest news. Thank you.
Thank you, YB, and Jim, for the thoughtful decision. We will appreciate it. Okay, with that, we have reached the end of our discussion. Thank you to our panelists for coming and joining this fun interaction session. And thank you to all the audience over there.